Did you know that most people reach their financial peak not by buying more things, but by buying fewer of the right things? At 63, I discovered something that completely revolutionized my relationship with money and made me feel wealthier than I ever had in my 30s or 40s. Today, I'm going to share the surprising list of things I stopped purchasing after turning 60, and how this simple shift transformed not just my bank account, but my entire sense of abundance and freedom. If you're tired of feeling like your money disappears every month, or if you're approaching your 60s and wondering how to make the most of your resources, then this video is specifically for you. I've been exactly where you are, and what I discovered might challenge everything you think you know about spending money wisely as you age. Let me start with the most shocking item on my list, because this one change alone saved me thousands of dollars and actually improved my quality of life dramatically. I completely stopped buying new cars after 60. Now, before you think I'm driving around in some beat-up rust bucket, let me explain the psychology and mathematics behind this decision. Throughout my 40s and 50s, I was caught in the endless cycle of car payments. Every 3 to 4 years, I'd trade up to the latest model, convinced that reliability and status required the newest technology. What I failed to calculate was the true cost of this pattern. Between depreciation, interest, and the psychological pressure to maintain a certain image, I was essentially throwing away money on an asset that loses value the moment you drive it off the lot. After 60, I shifted to buying quality used vehicles that were 3 to 5 years old. These cars had already absorbed the steepest depreciation curve, but still offered modern safety features and reliability. The freedom I felt when I eliminated that monthly car payment was intoxicating. Suddenly, I had an extra $400 to $600 every month that I could direct toward experiences, investments, or simply peace of mind. But here's what surprised me most about this change. My stress levels dropped significantly. No more worrying about parking lot dings on a pristine new car. No more anxiety about maintaining that perfect appearance. I realized I had been a slave to an image that ultimately served no one, including myself. The 3-year-old Honda Accord I drive today gets me everywhere I need to go safely and efficiently, and I sleep better knowing I own it outright. The second major category I eliminated was designer clothing and fashion accessories. This might sound obvious, but the psychology behind this change runs much deeper than simply buying cheaper clothes. Throughout my career, I maintained an extensive wardrobe of expensive suits, designer shoes, and luxury accessories. I justified these purchases as necessary investments for professional success and social standing. After retiring, I took a hard look at my closet and realized I had enough high-quality clothing to last me several lifetimes. More importantly, I recognized that my self-worth had become entangled with brand names and price tags. The process of decluttering my wardrobe was liberating in ways I hadn't expected. I donated dozens of items that were barely worn and kept only the pieces that truly served my lifestyle. Now I focus on buying fewer, higher-quality basics that mix and match easily. I discovered that having 30 versatile pieces that I actually wear feels infinitely more luxurious than having 100 items that hang unused. My clothing budget dropped from several $1,000s per year to a few hundred, and I genuinely feel better dressed, because everything I own fits well and serves a purpose. The third area where I made dramatic changes was home improvements and renovations. In my 50s, I was constantly updating, remodeling, and upgrading various aspects of my home. New kitchen appliances, updated bathrooms, fresh paint, landscaping projects, the list was endless. I told myself these improvements added value to my property, but the reality was more complex. Most home improvements don't return their full investment when you sell, and many updates become outdated within a decade anyway. More significantly, I realized I was using home projects as a form of retail therapy. Whenever I felt restless or dissatisfied with life, I'd start planning the next renovation. It was an expensive way to avoid dealing with deeper questions about what truly made me happy. After 60, I adopted a maintenance-only approach to my home. I take excellent care of what I have, but I no longer feel compelled to constantly upgrade and modernize. This shift saved me tens of thousands of dollars and countless hours of stress dealing with contractors, timelines, and construction mess. My home feels more peaceful now because I'm not constantly looking for the next thing to fix or improve. Technology purchases underwent a similar transformation. For years, I was an early adopter, always upgrading to the latest smartphone, tablet, or gadget. I convinced myself that staying current with technology was essential for remaining relevant and connected. The truth was, I was caught up in a cycle of consumption that added little real value to my life. Now, I use my devices until they actually stop functioning properly. My smartphone is 3 years old and works perfectly for everything I need. My laptop is even older but handles all my tasks without issue. I discovered that the constant cycle of technology upgrades was more about marketing and social pressure than actual necessity. The money I used to spend on gadgets now goes toward experiences and investments that provide lasting value. One of the most surprising categories I eliminated was expensive skincare and anti-aging products. The beauty industry specifically targets people my age with promises of youth restoration and age reversal. I used to spend hundreds of dollars on serums, creams, and treatments that promised miraculous results. The psychological impact of this spending was actually negative because it reinforced the idea that aging was something to fight against rather than embrace. I simplified my routine to basic high-quality products that keep my skin clean and moisturized. The money I saved was significant, but more importantly, I stopped viewing my reflection as a problem to be solved. This mental shift improved my self-confidence more than any expensive cream ever did. I realized that the most attractive quality at any age is comfort in your own skin. Gift-giving habits also underwent a major transformation. For decades, I was a compulsive gift giver, especially during holidays and birthdays. I believed that expensive presents demonstrated love and thoughtfulness. This pattern was exhausting, both financially and emotionally, because I constantly worried about finding the perfect gift or spending enough money to show I cared. After 60, I shifted toward experiential gifts and meaningful gestures that cost little or nothing. Instead of buying expensive items for my grandchildren, I now create adventures and memories with them. Instead of costly presents for friends, I offer my time, skills, or homemade items. The response has been overwhelmingly positive because people genuinely value attention and thoughtfulness over price tags. Dining out and entertainment expenses required careful examination as well. Throughout my working years, expensive restaurants and entertainment were how I rewarded myself for professional success and celebrated special occasions. These habits continued into retirement, even though my income had changed. I was spending significant money on experiences that had become routine rather than special. I now approach dining and entertainment more intentionally. Instead of frequent expensive meals, I choose fewer, higher quality experiences that I can truly savor and appreciate. When I do splurge on a nice restaurant or show, it feels genuinely special because it's not a weekly occurrence. This approach has enhanced my enjoyment while dramatically reducing costs. Investment products and financial services also came under scrutiny. The financial industry loves to sell complex, expensive products to retirees, promising security and growth. I had accumulated various annuities, investment accounts, and insurance products that came with high fees and complicated terms. Most of these products benefited the sellers more than they benefited me. I simplified my financial life dramatically, focusing on low-cost index funds and straightforward investments that I could understand and monitor myself. This required some education and confidence building, but the result was lower fees, better returns, and much less stress about my financial future. I learned that complexity in finance usually benefits someone other than the investor. Perhaps most importantly, I stopped buying things to fill emotional voids or to project a certain image to others. This was the underlying pattern that drove many of my previous purchasing decisions. Whether it was clothes, cars, or gadgets, I often bought things not because I needed them, but because I thought they would make me feel better about myself or influence how others perceived me. Recognizing and breaking this pattern was transformative. I learned to address emotional needs directly rather than through shopping. When I feel restless or dissatisfied, I now go for a walk, call a friend, or engage in a hobby rather than browsing online stores. This shift required developing new coping mechanisms, but it led to much greater emotional stability and financial security. The cumulative effect of these changes has been remarkable. My monthly expenses dropped by approximately 40%, while my sense of abundance and satisfaction increased dramatically. I have more money in my accounts, more time to focus on what matters, and less stress about maintaining possessions or keeping up with social expectations. But the benefits extend far beyond the financial. I feel more authentic and true to myself, because my lifestyle now reflects my actual values rather than societal pressures or marketing messages. My relationships have improved because I'm no longer distracted by the constant pursuit of things, and I can focus more attention on the people who matter to me. I also discovered that having fewer possessions paradoxically makes me feel wealthier because everything I own serves a purpose and brings me joy. My simplified wardrobe means getting dressed is easy and everything fits well. My older car runs reliably and I never worry about payments or depreciation. My home feels peaceful because I'm not constantly planning the next improvement project. The psychological freedom has been the most valuable benefit. I no longer feel pressured to keep up with trends or maintain a certain image through my purchases. This liberation from consumer culture has allowed me to explore what genuinely makes me happy and fulfilled. I spend more time reading, gardening, volunteering, and connecting with family and friends. Some people worry that reducing spending will make them feel deprived or limited, but my experience has been exactly the opposite. When you stop buying things that don't truly add value to your life, you create space and resources for what actually matters. The money I used to spend on car payments and unnecessary gadgets now funds travel experiences, education, and charitable giving that align with my values. If you're considering making similar changes, I recommend starting gradually with one category at a time. Choose an area where you suspect you might be overspending and experiment with reducing those purchases for a few months. Pay attention to how you feel, both emotionally and financially. You might be surprised to discover that you don't miss those expenses as much as you expected. It's also important to distinguish between false economy and genuine value. I'm not suggesting you should buy the cheapest option for everything or deprive yourself of quality. Instead, focus on identifying purchases that truly enhance your life versus those driven by habit marketing or social pressure. Quality items that last longer and serve you better are often worth the higher upfront cost. The key insight I want to share is that wealth after 60 isn't just about how much money you have, but how intentionally you use your resources. Every dollar you don't spend on something unnecessary is a dollar that can be directed towards something that genuinely matters to you. Whether that's financial security experiences for your family or causes you care about, the choice is yours when you're not caught up in mindless consumption. This approach to spending has made retirement far more enjoyable and less stressful than I anticipated. Instead of worrying about having enough money to maintain an expensive lifestyle, I've created a sustainable, comfortable way of living that brings me genuine satisfaction. I feel richer now, not because I have more money, but because I'm using money more wisely to support a life that reflects my true priorities. If you found value in this perspective, I'd love to hear about your own experiences with simplifying your spending habits. Have you discovered areas where reducing purchases actually improved your quality of life? What strategies have worked for you in distinguishing between wants and genuine needs? Share your thoughts in the comments below because we can all learn from each other's experiences and insights on this journey toward more intentional living and authentic wealth.